When a giant dinosaur picks up another giant ninja and throws them through 3 buildings, I get excited. This is everything I wanted to be.
There is nothing more iconic than a giant monster and a giant robot duking it out over a cityscape. So the buildings provide a backdrop for these battles.
Smashing monsters in the buildings is the thing that makes Monsterpocalypse the coolest. Grabbing the other monster and hurling them into the terrain is a big part of the game.
Buildings in Monsterpocalypse are far more than terrain features. They're part of the force that you bring to the table. They're part of what powers up your monsters, what really lets your units shine.
After demoing the game a lot of conventions with just the starter components, and then playing games with people now that the buildings are out, the thing I've heard the most from people is how much more fun the game is with more buildings.
They provide tactics, they provide power, they provide special abilities. They also allow me to pick and choose different strategy options for my particular playstyle.
Each individual building has its own card with its own rules, and all those rules open up when you secure that building.
When your units are securing buildings, they give you access to all sorts of special rules. Some of those special rules can range from additional movement, longer range on your weapons, powering down your opponent's monster, powering up your monster. The combination of buildings that you bring in your force can change both your playstyle and the strengths and weaknesses of your force.
A starter box of Monsterpocalypse comes with 6 apartment buildings because that's the absolute minimum you need for the game to feel like Monsterpocalypse. As you expand your collection and add buildings that are not apartments, you will realize the further and deeper implications of what buildings can do in the game.
So your different building types are your basic apartment building, your skyscraper, your downtown high-rise, your corporate HQ, your communications array, your industrial complex, and the nuclear power plant. Also coming is my favorite, the G.U.A.R.D HQ and the super awesome Comet Shard, the Immaculate Sun Industries HQ, the alien-esque Martian Command, the explosive, the terrifying, and of course the most amazing thing in the world, the
Personally, I'm a huge fan of the downtown high-rise because when you're securing it, it gives all of your additional units an additional boost die whenever they're making attacks. And I especially like this when combined with the communications array because that increases your range.
That means I'm shooting you from downtown with accuracy.
The Skyscraper is a great building because it lets you spawn things at a cheaper cost. So no matter what you're spawning, it's easier.
Corporate Headquarter has a rule that allows you to remove power dice from your opponent. When you combine that with monsters that can also remove power dice from your opponent, that really saps the strength from their monster and makes it really hard for them to fight back.
Building placement is a really important part of Monsterpocalypse because you build the city with your opponent before the game starts. You determine where all the buildings are and what those buildings are. So if you want certain buildings early in the game, you put them on your side of the map. But if you put other buildings out in the middle of a table, that might lure your opponent's units toward that building to gain that benefit, which means you'll be able to fight them differently. So buildings are what really makes Monsterpocalypse Monsterpocalypse. They give the game its character in that different buildings do different things.
Your monsters need something to smash. They need to grab the power plant, they need to drink it so they can energize up and beat more face.
And that's what makes the buildings the best part of Monsterpocalypse.
If your kaiju's not smashing a 20-story high-rise, then what's your kaiju doing with himself?
Are you ready to step up the destruction in your games of Monsterpocalypse? If so, add buildings to your force for the next level of spicy.